I'm so excited to be here today. I'm going to be talking to you all about how to stop people pleasing in order to say yes to you. And before I do so, I just want to give a quick introduction to myself. My name is Erin Bogdan. I am an authenticity coach and soul purpose activator, and I help unfulfilled go-getters, people pleasers, and high achievers ditch their self-doubt, ditch their not enough mindset, so that they can step into their most unstoppable and unapologetic as fuck badass self. And I'm so excited to be here to talk to you about people pleasing, because that is one of the biggest blocks that gets in the way of showing up for ourselves and owning our truth. So before I do that, I want to talk about how does people pleasing show up in our life? And it shows up in various ways, which most likely are not foreign to you if you're a people pleaser. These are going to sound familiar, right? So number one, we shrink ourselves to make other people comfortable, or we suppress our opinions and our views. We shut off and hide parts of ourselves in order to be accepted, in order to be liked, in order to receive validation and approval. And we just are constantly maybe even saying yes, a yes person, saying yes to basically anything and everything that someone else is asking of us. So I'd absolutely love to know in the comments below what other ways does people pleasing show up in your life. If you're watching this on YouTube, I'd absolutely love for you to like, share, and if you so choose, subscribe to my channel, because I will be sharing weekly videos just like this that offer you inspiration around stepping into your most confident badass self. So another piece that I want to share around people pleasing before we get into this simple 3-step process that I'm going to share with you today around how to stop people pleasing is 2 really bold truths. Number one, you were not born to make people happy. I cannot say that enough. You were not born to make other people happy. Sometimes the people pleaser in us, we learn that if we met another person's needs, our needs would automatically be met, and that made us feel safe, and that made us feel okay. And we strive, therefore, to take responsibility for other people's happiness and to please them, to make them happy, to not have them feel sad or upset or disappointed or any other feeling. But that is such a disservice to you. I cannot stress that enough. You, in that process of making someone else happy, most of the time, you're putting their need above your own need. And that is a practice of self-betrayal. If you're doing an action, if you're taking an action simply for the sake of pleasing another person, you are doing what feels good for them. You are doing it out of your desire to not disappoint them or to get some end outcome or result of kind of sneakily, unconsciously manipulating their behavior or your behavior in order to get some end outcome, end result. And the way that you're betraying yourself is you're taking an action that probably authentically doesn't feel good to you, and you're overriding it by not taking an action that does feel authentically good to you. And a simple example that I use here that I struggled with as a perfectionist, my clients have struggled with, is, in the past, my house had to be like super neat, like OCD neat, and that's how I was raised. And I realized I was trying to please my mom, because I would get validation and acknowledgement for how neat my house was. And I secretly don't enjoy, I like my house being tidy, but doesn't need to be absolutely perfect, right? And so the moment that I realized, who am I doing this for? Am I doing this for me, or am I doing it to please her and make her feel good? When we take action that's not authentically good for ourselves, that doesn't feel good for ourselves, it drains us, it exhausts us, it doesn't nourish us, it doesn't fill ourselves up. And in saying yes to that action, you're inadvertently saying no to something else I could be doing during that time that would feel a lot better than cleaning my house. Now, don't get me wrong, I clean my house, but it doesn't need to be 100% order 100% of the time, and especially now that I have a toddler, it definitely doesn't need to be in order. So that's just one simple example of where we betray what we would actually prefer to be doing to please another person, to get that love, get that validation, get that approval. And that leads me into my second truth, is that we don't people please for no reason. This people pleasing in us is serving a purpose. It's serving a purpose. It's getting us something that we've been seeking. And we have to uncover and be aware of, what is it getting me? A lot of times it's getting you love, validation. It's getting you a sense of belonging, of fitting in. How many times have you shut off a part from yourself, disconnected from a part of yourself to fit in, to belong? I remember, and this again is something that is similar with my clients, I remember being told, you're too sensitive, you're too this, you're too that, you're too loud, whatever the case may be. Shutting off and disconnecting from the parts that I felt like other people didn't like or didn't want me to portray or be, in order to fit in order to belong, in order to be accepted. And another way this could take shape is that perhaps you even grew up in a household where things were swept under the rug, or you had to engage in activities that were acceptable or seen as acceptable, and or you had to suppress your opinions, your voice, in order to not make waves, in order to just fit in, blend in, not make a fuss, not draw attention to yourself, as an example. So all this, the main point with this truth is understanding that this people-pleasing part of us exists for a reason. It exists for a reason, and we must understand that in order to stop doing a behavior that we don't truly want to be doing anymore, that isn't truly serving us anymore. So with all that being said, I now want to give you this 3-step process framework that I use with my clients that's fairly simple in conceptual terms, to be able to implement and stop people pleasing. And it starts with that piece of knowing, the piece of understanding that this people pleasing part of us is not bad. It's not wrong. A lot of times when we want to stop a behavior, we start to shame ourselves, we start to judge ourselves, we start to beat ourselves up, we make ourselves wrong for showing up in that way. And it's like, that will get you nowhere fast. What actually needs to happen is we need to recognize and understand, okay, this part of us that we don't like, this behavior that we're doing that we don't like, it's getting some unmet need met, and it's been working. It's been working for a really long time, and so it's going to be hard to just stop it cold turkey, something that's been working. So asking yourself, what positive intention is this part of me getting me? What is this? How is this serving me? What am I seeking? And once you can uncover and understand that, you can get in touch with this part of you that's been hurting, right? This part of you that typically is our inner child that's been hurting, that learned to cope in this way in order to get some unmet need met. So that's step number 1. Step number 2 is then, once you have a clear understanding, or step number 2, before you meet the need, step number 2 is around seeing that part of you that's been hurting. Greeting that part of you that's been hurting with a level of love and compassion and kindness, and letting that part of you know, I see you, I acknowledge you. It's okay that you've been showing up in this way, because this is what has gotten you what you needed. It's okay. I see you. I'm here with you. I need you. And that can take the form of many different things, from journaling with your inner child to speaking directly to your inner child, all these different tools and techniques that I work with my clients. And then step number 3 is, once you can greet that part of you with love and compassion and kindness, and not shame it, beat it up, berate it, say stop doing that. If you think about, if I like to use this example with a baby, if there were a baby that were crying and you put the pacifier in its mouth and it stops crying, if you're going to rip the pacifier out, it's going to start crying again. It's no different with your inner child, with the part of you that's hurting. This people-pleasing coping mechanism is a pacifier, and ripping it out and telling yourself not to do it anymore isn't going to help you. You have to actually acknowledge the part of you that's hurting and learn to soothe that part of you in a different way. And that's step number 3, is meeting that need directly. So whatever the people-pleasing part of you has been getting you, how can you meet that need in a more healthy way? How can you love yourself more fully? How can you build connection with yourself? How can you create safety from within, so that if you feel love, connection, and safety from within, it doesn't matter, on a fundamental level, if you don't necessarily have that need met outside of you, because you feel so safe and fulfilled and nourished from yourself. You already feel complete. You already feel whole. You don't need to take that action or that behavior anymore. It then becomes a choice rather than a necessity, right? Like the decision for me to clean my house is now a choice versus the necessity that I have to do it to get love, attention, validation. So those are the 3 steps around how to stop people pleasing. Number 1, understanding it's serving a purpose. Number 2, seeing that part of you with love and compassion. And number 3, meeting that need directly in a healthy way. And I also want to talk a little bit about what is the biggest block that stops us from people pleasing. The biggest block that gets in our way around this is that this fear of, well, am I going to survive? Like, if I stop doing this, logically we know we will, right? But underneath of us, that little girl, that little boy inside of us, they're like so afraid. They've been doing this their whole life. Am I going to survive? Are my needs going to be met? Because like I said in the past, probably your needs were most likely met, and what I've seen with myself and my clients were most likely met after they felt like their caretaker's needs were met. If they met their caretaker's needs, they felt safe. They felt like, okay, my needs are going to be met. So if you're like, okay, we're not going to do this anymore, are my needs actually going to be met? Will I truthfully survive? And that fear of that wondering, like, will I survive, is what then propels or perpetuates us to show up in the way we think other people want us to show up. We learn to flex and adapt and to be what other people need us to be. And that actually cuts us off from the truth of who we are. And now we're receiving this superficial level of love where we're getting that need met because we're receiving love, but we're receiving love because of how we think we need to show up, how we think we need to be in order to get that love. And it's like that love is superficial, because how does it feel to get love for pretending to be someone that you're not, right? Versus how amazing would it feel to be loved fully and authentically for all of you in showing up as all of you. And I always say your vibe attracts your tribe. When like naturally the fear is, okay, if I stop people pleasing, and if I start taking a stand, and if I start setting boundaries, and if I start doing what feels good, and if I start doing all these things, then people are going to leave me. I'm going to be abandoned. I'm going to be left alone. And that's honestly 99% of the time what I found is that's our mind and our fear. That doesn't actually ever happen. What I found through my own experience, through my clients' experience, is the people that authentically love them, like their close family, their friends, they still love them regardless or not whether they're people pleasing. They actually have more respect for them in owning their truth and speaking their truth, because that inspires them doing that inspires the other person to start doing more of that. They start radiating that out, and that serves as inspiration for the other person to start doing that. Now, there may be some people that fall away naturally, but guess what? If they fall away naturally, they're not really meant to be in your life, because do you really want someone in your life around you that doesn't really truly authentically love you for you? And that brings me to my last point, is that you weren't born, and I need you to really hear this, you weren't born to be liked. That is not your soul's purpose on this planet. That is not why you are here. You are here because you have unique gifts, you have unique talents, you have a unique voice, and you're here for a purpose. And anyone that's done anything great, if you look at any figure, any historical figure that's accomplished anything amazing, they weren't always liked. They weren't liked by everyone. I mean, look at Martin Luther King. He accomplished so many amazing, wonderful things in his lifetime, and he wasn't liked by everyone. But we're not meant to be liked by everyone. We're meant to own our authentic truth and express our authentic selves so that we can be the light in the world and shine and radiate that light out. And whoever is meant to resonate with our message, or resonate with our work, or resonate with our purpose or our mission in life, those people, we will attract them to us. Didn't Martin Luther King attract a tribe to him? And the people that didn't like him, it doesn't really matter, because he had an amazing mission to fulfill. That was his life's purpose. So I want you to allow that to inspire you, that you're not here to be liked. It's actually a disservice to you to shut off from parts of yourself rather than owning the truth of who you are. And so I wanted to share that if you are ready to be done with people pleasing, if you're ready to say no without hesitation, to set boundaries that really nourish you and fill you up, then I'd absolutely welcome the opportunity to speak to you, to have a conversation, to chat, and we'll explore on that call. Where are you at? Where do you want to go? What's getting in the way? And we'll come up with a divine and juicy strategy to help align you to that authentic, soul-fulfilled, soul-nourished, soul-aligned life, and create the life that you truly desire, one filled with peace and happiness and freedom and abundance. And the other thing that I wanted to share is that I would absolutely love for you to drop a comment, drop a note around your biggest takeaway from today in the description box below. I'm also going to have a link where you can book in to chat with me if that's something that resonates with you. And I also have a no BS 6-step guide to remember, reclaim, and radiate all of who you were born to be. If you haven't seen that yet, get that as well. And I just wanted to say thank you so much for being here today. I absolutely love having you. I appreciate you. And I can't wait to speak to you next week and drop another amazing video. So have an amazing rest of your day. I'm sending you all so much love, and I will talk to you soon.